Welcome to basic training for the Harmonic Translation System Omega. The HT System Omega is a computerized instrument for the analysis and composition of subtle energies. Used mostly as a tool in alternative healing therapies, the instrument can also be used to promote new psychospiritual states of mind and emotional equilibrium. The HT system is also used to analyze and repair damage to plants and agricultural fields. This software is designed to adapt itself to your needs as a practitioner. The Harmonic Translation System was designed around three basic functions: analysis and diagnosis, treatment and remedy making, and research and the development of new healing techniques and medicines. Use of the Harmonic Translation System is divided into three levels. Level 1, the most basic user level, can be immediately achieved by anyone who can turn his or her computer on. At this level, the user selects precomposed treatment from a menu based on symptoms or Use of the Harmonic Translation System is divided into three levels. Level 1, the most basic user level, can be immediately achieved by anyone who can turn his or her computer on. At this level, the user selects a precompiled treatment from a menu based on symptoms one wishes to alleviate or known conditions one wishes to treat. If an inappropriate treatment is selected, no harm or effect is produced. Level 2 is where most users operate. Here, one uses the electronic kinesiological interface to analyze the problems and compose individualized treatments. Medicinal items are selected from the electronic dispensary, loaded into energetic envelopes made of sound and light, and delivered to the client as a homeopathic remedy that the system actually produces. The same remedy may also be delivered as sounds and/or colored geometrical images. Research involving the testing of medicines, herbs, energies, and existing modalities is also done at Level 2. Level 3 is where a creative user synthesizes totally new and unique medicinal items based on an individual's needs. These Level 3 electronic medicines fit the client's problems like a key fits a lock. The creation of these healing patterns and frequencies is not difficult. Level 3 competency tends to organically develop out of one's work at Level 2. Electronic kinesiology is the technique whereby the user interfaces with the Harmonic Translation System program. Essentially, this is no different from manual forms of kinesiology such as muscle testing. Kinesiology of this type is an enhanced human perception. Just as some people with special training can perceive things that the rest of us would not normally be able to see, so too with a little bit of training, one may use electronic kinesiology to detect the subtle energetic patterns needed to both do the analytic functions built into the HT system and the composition of unique treatments. The first thing we're going to do is practice detecting the resonant field on the electrokinesiological reaction plate. For this test, it's recommended that you even unplug the plate from the system and use the plate just all by itself. In doing this kind of kinesiology, as with any kinesiology, you need to understand that you, the user, are producing the feeling. This feeling is like a perceptual cue that, with a little bit of practice, enables you to very precisely measure the energetics of items in analysis and also get the feedback for composing treatment. Now, it's recommended that one uses a little bit of cornstarch on the plate. The cornstarch is to absorb oil on the fingertips. If you have oily skin, you may need a bit more cornstarch. If you have particularly dry skin, you will need less. with a little dab of cornstarch on the plate and your fingers on there, rubbing it like this, just press harder until you feel that sticking, skating feeling. It is this sticking, skating feeling that is the cue that you're going to use in this kind of training. Now, initially, just by pressing harder, you can make that happen. Try to get the feeling with a lighter and lighter touch. With a little bit of practice here, you'll find that with an almost undetectable change in pressure, you can feel the sticking, skating feeling on the surface of the acrylic plate. This is the feeling that you need to develop. Practice this for several minutes at least, and as you're doing this with a lighter and lighter touch, get to the point where it seems as though you can direct it with your mind, where you're not even detecting any change in pressure now with your fingertips. You're just feeling it change when you decide to feel that. You must decide to feel that. That's important. This is developing the hand-eye-mind coordination necessary to use the electrokinesiological interface to run the program. Once you can do this, practice with just asking questions. Ask a simple test question in your mind, something ridiculously obvious like your own name. And as you ask, "Is this my name?" you feel the response, which is the positive response, the yes, if you will. The lack of any response is the negative, or the no. Play with this until you have practice making the stick every time there is a positive response required. Again, it's like hand-eye-mind coordination, not unlike learning to juggle, just a lot easier. Once you have reached this point, then you're ready to plug the plate back in and start actually doing analysis. First part of the training is analysis. Start your HT program by clicking on your icon from your desktop and then close the sign-on screen. Go to Analysis from the toolbar and open the analysis screen. Go to File on the Analysis menu bar and click on Open Analysis List. For training, select the standard list. Now, the first item on any analysis list is the vitality index. The vitality index is not so much a piece of information about the individual you're testing as it is an adjustment for the scale. Every individual has a different level of energy, and this must be adjusted for to make sense of the readings. We are going to read on a 0 to 1,000 scale. Vitality index is always between 5 and 700. This is an arbitrary determination because that is the adjustment scale. Click on Vitality Mode, and then with your cursor and your other hand on the kinesiological reaction plate, and it does not matter which hand you use for whichever you're going to be comfortable with and train yourself to use. Then click on the slider bar and drag across the scale and feel for the reaction between 5 and 700. So I feel the reaction there. Click on the Enter and the vitality index is entered. 569 in this case. Then with your cursor, click on the next item to be measured, in this case the immune system. Now, the vitality reading, vitality mode, compares to the index. Any reading that is within 200 points of the index is considered good. Now, as you bring the slider across, feeling for the reaction, you'll see that the bar changes color from red to gray to green. So there I feel the reaction at 398. The bar is green because that is within 200 points of the index. Click on the enter. Now switch to stress mode, which is the second kind of reading that you can take for any given item. Stress mode is not referenced to the index. Anything below 100 on a stress reading is considered good. Anything above 100 is problematic. You'll now see that the cursor is green because it's below 100. And we're moving up. As it crosses 100, it goes gray and then red. So here, a reading of 106, definitely reading as significant stress. All stress readings are taken on the low end of the scale. A stress reading below 100 is considered negligible. A stress reading of 200 would be considered extremely high, even life-threatening. Click the enter button to enter your stress numbers in there. Then again, go down to the next item on your list, repeat the process. Dragging the slider across. Oh, we are in stress mode here. In the gray there, reading of 95. Go to vitality mode. Dragging the slider across. Again now, comparing to the index. Get a reading here at 316. Click the enter. That's considered a low reading. So readings like 316, more than 200 points below the index, that's considered energetically low. A stress reading of 95, borderline, perhaps a mild amount of stress, but still below 100. Move down again to the next item. Repeat the process. First the vitality reading. Reading of 455. We enter that. That's a good energetic reading. Go to stress mode. Repeat the process. Now we're looking for that reading on the low end of the scale. The good readings are below 100. There, 65, that's an excellent stress reading. Enter that. So here, for the thalamus, a vitality reading of 455, which is excellent, a stress reading of 65, which is excellent. That's a good reading. You repeat this process for as many items on your analysis list as you wish to take readings for. Here for hypothalamus, we now see a relatively high stress reading of 117. Now taking the vitality reading. As I'm sliding this across, my fingers are on the reaction plate and I'm feeling for that sticking reaction. There, I feel it there. A reading of 259. For the hypothalamus, this is a very bad reading. We are seeing an energetic reading of 259, well below 200 of the index. That's indicating low energy there, and we're seeing a relatively high stress reading of 117. Once you have taken all of the vitality readings from this particular list that you wish, go up to the menu bar and click on Append Readings to Client Record. Those readings have now been added to the client record. You may now go to File and open another analysis list. In this case, say, the Chinese medicine list. You do not need to take the vitality index again, as it's still entered into the field. You can take readings from any place on the list that you wish. Here, liver meridian. A reading of 469 in the green, that's good. Stress mode. A reading of 74. So that's excellent for the liver meridian. Once you have taken all of the readings on this list that you wish, you add them to the client record, again by clicking on Append Readings to Client Record. You may then view these records by clicking on Switch View, and here are your records. You may then add notes to them or edit them as you please. Once you are satisfied with your client's record and have done as much analysis as you wish, you can then move to Save Client Record. You enter the name as you wish it to be. Press Enter, or hit the Save button, and then that client record has been saved. If you wish to print out the client record in the color bar graph as you see below, again, from Switch View, you come over to Print. As long as you have a color-capable printer connected to your system, you will print out the barcode in the color codes. If you wish to create your own analysis list, from the menu bar, you select Create Analysis List File. Again, name your list file as you please. And hit Save. Then you would go in and open the analysis list that you had just created, and you'll see you have a blank list now. Vitality index is at the top and an item called End of List at the bottom. To add items to your list, click on Edit from the menu bar, Modify Analysis List Items. You'll see that the editing bar is now active. Go to the end of the list, then click on the plus from the analysis bar, and you can then enter the item as you please. Enter as many items in your customized analysis list as you need. Once you're satisfied with it, all you have to do is close it, and that list has been saved. We're going to go back to the standard list for a minute here to demonstrate using a target box on an image to take a reading. You'll see at the end of most analysis lists that there is an item called Target Area. You use this by opening a graphic anatomical image. This is done from the translation screen in the top menu bar. You go to Image, select an image. In this case, by clicking on the image, you'll see that the thumbnail of that image appears over on the right. Once you have the image that you wish to use as a target for either analysis and treatment, click on Open. Now you can move this aside simply by clicking and dragging from the top of the translation window, as with any Windows function, and then go back to your analysis. You can then, over on the target image, draw a target box. This target box now becomes the area that is being read in analysis. You would then go select target area, take your readings now on that specific area, so we get a reading of 422. That's a decent energetic reading for that part of the brain. Go to stress mode. And a reading of 60. Again, an excellent reading for that. This is how you use the target boxes. Now when we move to the translation or treatment side of the program, one will be able to use that targeted area to focus the treatment. To edit a list, say if you wish to put another item into an existing list, it is the same procedure. You click on Edit, Modify Existing List, and you could then click on here Hypothalamus, and if you wish to put an item in between thalamus and hypothalamus, you would simply click on the plus bar, type in your item, and your list has been modified. Once you have done all of the analysis that you require, it's then time to move to the translation screen and the procedures for treatment. Close your analysis list. It will remain as it was until you clear it, and go to the translation window. In this case, we already have the targeted area from our analysis part of the session. To create the unique treatment for this particular individual and this particular situation, first go to Dispensary. Dispensary contains all of the medicinal items in your pharmacy. With the cursor, move over the items in the file box one at a time with your hand on the plate, feeling for a reaction. In this case, I'm feeling a reaction on the dispensary category homeopathy. A double click brings that category up. Now, I am moving the cursor down my list of homeopathic medicines, feeling for a response. You can also move it a page at a time by clicking under the slider bar. At this point, I feel a reaction on this page. Now I'm going to feel down through these items. I feel a reaction here on this item. A double click brings that item up on the right-hand window, the item selected window. We also call this the treatment buffer. These are items selected for treatment. We continue the process of combing through. I feel another reaction here. I get a reaction on sulfur. A double click brings that up into the treatment buffer. And I feel no more items here. So I go back to the Open Dispensary button and I further am looking through categories, I get a reaction on the mineral categories. A double click brings that up, and I repeat the process. Moving the cursor through, making my selections. I get a reaction on selenium. A double click brings that up. I get no more reactions there. I go back to explore the rest of the categories. I get an indication on vaccines. A double click opens that category. I get a reaction on tetanus. I select that. And I get no further reactions. I'm now satisfied with these 4 items from the dispensary, so I click on the Enter button, and then I close this window. The items I've selected now show up on my translation window. Now, from here, I have selected the core elements, the medicinal items for this treatment. I will now compose the energetic envelope that will actually deliver these. The first part of that is color, and from here we have the red, green, and blue primaries. Clicking on the slider bar and pulling down the amount of red, I do this until I feel a reaction on the plate. There, that amount of red. Then I go on to green, repeat the process, and that amount of green. Again, the process repeated with blue, that amount of blue. That is the color frequency we have selected. Even though it only took a few moments, we have gone through over 15 million possibilities in the visible spectrum. We close this window, and then we move on to pulse frequency. The first part of this is selecting in or out of phase. In phase is primarily used when promoting a new energetic state. Out of phase is primarily used when antidoting a negative energetic state. But one must always kinesiologically determine the in or out of phase. I am getting the sticking reaction feeling for out of phase, so I click there. Then with the slider bar, which starts at 1000 Hertz, I slide it back and forth looking for that reaction. I feel it here at 232. I'll then use the back and forth arrow keys on my keyboard to fine tune this. There, I get the reaction at 225 Hertz. Pulse generation is now set. We close that window and we move to options. Basically, the functions here: geometry, density, form, and instrument. Geometry has to do with the actually tilting of the geometric plane within the algorithms within the computer that help to target where this healing information is most useful. So by moving this back and forth, I feel a reaction here. Geometry is now set. Density, which has to do with the saturation or the power, if you will, of the information. Again, that is adjusted back and forth. I get the reaction at 1, the lowest setting. Form is set by either leaving spiral checked or clicking on it, and in the unchecked mode is what we call mesh. Mesh has to do when you want to cover the entire anatomical area with the treatment information. Spiral is where you want to concentrated. The indication I get here is for spiral. Then we select an instrument. These are the MIDI instrument types that are used to deliver the harmonic translation information. Harmonic translation actually refers to a series of frequency shifts that are used algorithmically to present the healing information to the client. And the instrument types are just that. If this was a musical synthesizer, you would be selecting an instrument type to play your music. It is perhaps the least important. I get an indication for this page, and I get an indication here for pad 2 warm. So by double-clicking it, the instrument I have selected appears, and I can now close this window. All parameters for treatment are now set. To actually initiate a treatment, be sure that your tissue sample, usually we're talking a small bit of hair in a clean envelope, is placed on the translator device. You then click on Begin Session, and you select the time by selecting the number of cycles. One cycle is a complete run through all of the information that has been selected. In this case, the 4 medicinal items and the various particulars of the energetic envelope. The minimum run time is 1 cycle, which usually is under a minute unless you have many medicinal items selected. The indication I get is for 8 cycles. It tells you that the estimated run time for 8 cycles is 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Clicking on the OK will initiate the treatment. The client, in most cases, is asked to watch and listen to the multimedia display. A remedy can also be made from the setup information simply by placing a bottle of clean water, or homeopathic sugar pillules can also be used, placed on the translator device so that the information selected here can be electromagnetically transcribed onto that medium. As I said, with the hair sample on the translator device, 2 settings must be made on the translator before treatment. The focus setting, which is very much like the focus of a microscope, except here one must move the dial back and forth, starting in the upright position, minus and plus, feeling on the plate for the reaction. There, I feel it there. The focus knob is important because it is used to cancel electromagnetic interference in the immediate area of the translator device. The FSI setting, starting at 0, moving up until one feels the reaction on the plate, is roughly equivalent to homeopathic potency. You can check in your manual for equivalencies between FSI setting numbers and homeopathic potency levels. With the translator set in this fashion, treatment is now ready to be run. If you are creating a remedy for this particular session, you would place the medium, in this case a bottle of pure water, directly on the translator pad here, right on top of the hair sample is a good way to do that. We're now ready to start the treatment. We're now ready to initiate treatment by clicking the OK button on the duration window. Once the treatment is running, it will run through the set number of cycles, in this case 8 cycles, and take roughly 2.8 seconds. One can interrupt or stop a treatment at any time by clicking on End Session. The progression of notes one hears during treatment is the actual information of the medicinal items and the energetic envelope settings. The shifting colors within the geometric patterns in the target area also specifically represent the indicated medicinal items and the frequency and geometrical settings. What you hear and what you see literally is the electronic medicine, in this case targeted specifically at this area in the brain for reasons determined during the analysis session. The number of cycles counts down and the remaining time is displayed at the bottom of your screen. Once treatment is concluded, you can save the treatment session by selecting File from the menu bar and select Save Translation Make eCapsule. Select File, name the saved session anything you wish, I usually name it with the name of my client. Click on Save. That session is now saved. If you wish to take this treatment and compose an eCapsule to be sent over the internet or via floppy disk to a client, it's a similar procedure. From File, select Save Translation, Make eCapsule. In this case, click on Make eCapsule. One must then first select the quantity, which is the number of times the treatment will run before it expires. In this case, let's set it to 30. You must then set the expiration date for your electronic prescription. A double click there brings up a calendar. You may move this to the appropriate month or year, select the day, and then it's set. Double click on the selected date. That is now set. Then notations can be made for a particular remedy for that client. Whatever note you want this client to see for this treatment. Having done this, click Save File and give it a name. It will then be saved to the eCapsule directory on your hard drive. Close the eCapsule window. That is done. If you wish to send this medicine via email to the client, you would do it from your normal email software. You would select Attachment and go to the eCapsule subdirectory of your HTS9 on your hard drive, find the eCapsule remedy that you had just made, and simply send it as any other attachment. In order to receive their electronic medicine, your client must have the eCapsule dispenser program, which they can download for free from the New Science website. The last thing we're going to cover is using the data matrix utility for entering new medicinal items into your dispensary database. From the main menu bar, select Utilities and select Dispensary Data Matrix. This utility actually allows you to digitize any substance or energetic state, for that matter, into a usable piece of electronic medicine. If you are experimenting, you must always try these medicinal items that you have created to assess their effectiveness. If you wish to add a medicinal item to an existing category, go to File, click on Open Category. In this case, let's open the Allergies category. The items within that category appear to the right. Then click on New Matrix, and the data matrix appears on the left. This 13 by 20 grid is actually the core of the harmonic translation program. It is a mathematical permutation table functioning a bit like a numerical hologram that allows a snapshot of any item or energetic state to be made. Place the sample of the item you wish to scan into the pharmacy, in this case perhaps an allergen. Once it's on there, you're going to deal with the matrix as 13 columns. Start in the upper left-hand column with your mouse cursor and your hand on the kinesiological plate. Bring it down, feeling for a reaction. You feel a reaction on one of the squares, click your mouse, designate that square. Repeat this 13 times to build up the matrix. Once you are satisfied with the 13 positions, be sure that you have named the medicinal item. You then click on Enter Matrix, then go to File and click on Save Matrix. The new item appears over in the allergy category. To repeat the process for another item added to this category, you would simply click on New Matrix and repeat the process. If you wish to create a new category to put items in, from the File menu, you would select Make Category, name the new category you wish to create, click on Save, then go to Open Category, retrieve the new category that you have just made, and repeat the process we just covered to add items to that category. There is no limit to the number of medicinal items or the number of categories that can be created. This concludes the basic training for the harmonic translation system.